A few things before we jump into things, just a few housekeeping comments. First of all, today's webinar will be recorded, and we'll send the recording to everyone who signed up or joined the webinar. Furthermore, there is a question box in the GoToWebinar panel, which should be on the right of your screen. If you have any questions or comments throughout the webinar, feel free to enter any questions there, and I'll make sure to leave some time at the end of the webinar today to go over all your questions. Today's webinar, CardioLog Analytics for Intranets, is going to focus on how we can analyze how our portal is being accessed and engage with our users. The agenda for today will be a very short overview to start out with. We'll spend most of our time during the webinar actually demoing how we can gain better analytics and metrics from our users, how we can engage with our users within the SharePoint environment. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we'll conclude and have a Q&A session. So, short introduction. Interlock, we've been around for 8 years now, focused on one area, and that's web analytics designed specifically for SharePoint. And there are 3 main areas that we focus on that I want to share with you today. The first is monitoring, how we can gain insights about portal usage. The second is engagement, how we can actually be proactive and engage with our users, ask them what's painful for them or how they feel we can improve the portal and so forth. And finally, how we can take all that information from the monitoring and the engagement and really enhance our environment. So those are the 3 areas that we'll focus on. In Monitor, of course, the first area, a lot of great questions we can help answer. So things like who's using the portal, what's being accessed, what's not in use, what are folks downloading or searching for, and really get us a lot of great insights about the actual usage of our portal. In engagement, we'll talk about our Voice of Customer tool, which helps us create surveys to really get more insight and feedback from our users as they browse the SharePoint portal. And then finally, we'll tie it all together into how we can help build stronger portals by monitoring and then, of course, optimizing our portal for our users. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into today's demo. Again, if there are any questions, feel free to use the question box in the GoToWebinar panel. All right, and for those of you who are just joining, this is your first time seeing CardioLog. This is the CardioLog Analytics user interface. And here on the left-hand side, you can see several tabs that indicate the different modules of the tool. Today we're focused on 2 main areas. One is analytics, and the second is engagement. And I'm currently showing the Analysis Center, which is one of 2 main web analytics centers within CardioLog. In the Analysis Center, you can see 2 parts. The first part is my dashboard, where I have different meters, charts, and tables. And here on the left-hand side, you can see the SharePoint tree structure or hierarchy. And what we can actually do here is monitor as many farms, sites, subsites, and really as many environments as a customer would like to monitor. And what I can do here as an analyst is simply click on any level of my site. So I can click on the farm level, the site level, subsite, or drill all the way down to a list or list item to see exactly what's been going on within that area of my portal. So in this case, we're going to select the press releases subsite to get an instant dashboard for that area of our portal. And here we'll get an instant dashboard for the press releases site. And there's no demo for today, as you can see. We'll go ahead and change that for last week. There we go. And now we can see some metrics, different meter charts and tables for the press releases subsite for last week. So we can really select any area of our portal. Now, of course, if you have a very large portal, you might not know a specific site or subsite or for sure a list item where that's located. We can just search for it. I'll go ahead and search for a download page. And here you can see CardioLog found 2 pages with the word download in them. I'll just stick my Explorer on one of these pages, click on them, and I'll get an instant dashboard with information. And while it's loading, I see a question from the audience. Jill is asking if it's possible to download the presentation following the webinar. And so yes, we'll make both the presentation and the recording of the webinar available, and we'll send it to everyone via email. All right, and now as you can see, we get an instant dashboard for the download page. So I can see for a specific page, who viewed the page, how many times it's been viewed, where folks went to before and after viewing the page, and so forth. And in a few moments, I'll show you how we can also customize these dashboards to show you the actual metrics that you're interested in. And to do so, we'll jump into the Report Center. In this center, we'll actually create scheduled dashboards as opposed to the ad hoc report that just showed in the Analysis Center. And we'll start out by showing how easy it is to create a new dashboard. We'll just click New Report here. We can select a pre-made template, and you can create your own templates for your users. Let's go ahead and start with a blank report. We'll just give this a name. We'll call this March Webinar Report. We can add a description and define 1 or 2 columns of data. And finally, CardioLog can actually automatically distribute, generate and distribute the reports to us and our colleagues. And here we can define how often we want CardioLog to distribute this dashboard. Let's say once every week, and we'll hit OK. All right, and here you can see a blank report in edit mode. In order to add the different meters, charts, and tables you saw a few moments ago, all the user does is click here on the Add button, and what appears are different categories of web analytics. Things like page views, visitors, navigation, search, and so forth. When I hover over a category like page views, I can view all the different metrics in that category. And then when I hover over a specific metric, I can actually specify how I want to display the data within my dashboard as a chart, meter, map, or table. Let's take the page views chart as an example. As well as a page views table. And we'll move this widget here to the top right-hand side. Here in Visitors category, you can see a lot of great information about our users. So starting from at the bottom, things like what operating system and browsers they're using, loyalty report, bounce rate report, a lot of averages like average time on site. We can see information by user groups, and in a moment we'll talk about how we can connect to AD and SharePoint profiles and filter our dashboards by different groups, attributes, and so forth. Let's go ahead and add a list of unique users, see exactly who's accessing the portal, how often, and what they're viewing. All right, I'll move that widget here to the right-hand side. And just a quick comment about this metric here. Here we have a list of users. And you can see in my environment, some of my users are anonymous. So for things like a public-facing website, and I can see users by their IP address. And other users in my environment are authenticated, and I can actually see their username. So of course, if your site is completely authenticated, all users are authenticated, then everyone in this list would appear with their username like Molly and Allison do in this example. So we can track both authenticated users and anonymous users. Let's go back and add a few more metrics to our dashboard. So in this scenario, search is very important for us. We want to identify what folks are spending a lot of time searching for and try making them more effective by surfacing the content that they might not be able to find. And under search, we have things like the total number of searches. We can see a trend over time of searches performed. We can see the actual pages searches being performed on to kind of identify which pages might be a little more troublesome, which pages folks can't find the content they're looking for. So you can see the search origin pages, or actually show the search phrases that users are actually entering within our search box. Let's take that to identify what folks are spending time looking for. And here you can see several search phrases or search terms that are actually being used within our environment. The next category that I want to share with you is navigation. Here we have a lot of great metrics about how users are navigating through your portal with things like landing pages where they start out the browsing visit. In many cases, that is usually the home page of the portal, but some of our customers have found some surprising data there where folks are starting on other pages and have really been able to optimize some of those other landing pages to things like exit pages where they're closing the browser or leaving the site. Of course, next and previous pages. So if I want to show or see for the home page of our portal where folks are going to next or what they're clicking on, we can actually add the next pages report to show exactly where they're going to as a next step. And external destinations, if you have links within your portal to outside sites, we can track all those links with no additional configuration. If you're familiar with tools like Google Analytics or Web Trends, these tools require you to add additional code to each individual external link, but here CardioLog can do that all out of the box. So all those links to outside sites we can track as well and show exactly how many times each link was clicked on. The next category that we offer is portal growth. And here in portal growth, we have a lot of information beyond just web analytics. So things like, besides who's been viewing content or what content has been viewed, we can see metrics like who's been contributing content, what content has been modified, and who's been modifying content, and also to more administrative reports such as portal inventory, portal growth, content size, and so forth. So besides seeing how many times content has been viewed, we can also see the size of the content. And then our last metric here, our last group of metrics is goals. And here we've taken this more from what marketers are doing with public-facing websites. And so, of course, it's very common to define a goal we want our users to take on our website. And we're seeing that our customers are doing things very similar for their intranet. So there are specific goals within the intranet, like if everyone has to view a specific document, or if everyone has to fill out a form about vacation days or whatnot, we can define that form as a goal and actually show a funnel, a great visual of that goal, even if it has several steps. And let me show you an example of one of those goal funnels. All right, let's try that one more time. All right, so you can see in our demo environment, we have a few steps for a goal. In this case, the first step is starting out on the home page, moving on to the registration page where there's a survey that people have to answer, or a form that folks have to answer, then a download page, and then a thank you page. And here in our funnel, we can see very clearly how many folks are starting out on the home page, how many are moving down the funnel, and if they're abandoning the funnel, we can see these red arrows showing us what pages they're leaving and how many folks are leaving the funnel. And so here, of course, if we can identify the weak link for our funnel, go back and enhance or make changes to that page to try and optimize this funnel. So very easy to define a goal within CardioLog. And also, of course, as you see here, we can define several steps and see a great visual for our goal. Let's go back to our dashboard. And let's add a few meters to the dashboard. All right, so here we'll add a page views meter. We'll also add a unique users meter. Let's also take a search meter. There we go. So as you can see, it's very, very easy for an end user to take a blank dashboard and add the individual metrics that he or she might be interested in. Then we can also fully customize each one of the widgets you see here. So I can start out with the page views chart. If I double click on it, we can go ahead here and change everything from the appearance to the data that's actually being displayed for us. All right, and then here in appearance, we can change the chart title, the chart type from column to bar, pie, line, and many different chart types. Let's go ahead and turn this into 3D, add values and a legend. And in group by, a very important metric for us, because this tool is built for SharePoint, if I want to report on a site collection, here we can define if we want to view all content within that site, so all subsites, list libraries, list items, and so forth, or view data just for the home page of that site collection. And of course, we can compare data to previous date ranges, so this week versus last week, and so forth. Go ahead and save that for now. All right, so we have 3D, the values, and so forth. We can also fully customize these tables. If I double click on that, what this table is currently showing us is all content in our site, so all sites, subsites, pages, documents, wikis, announcements, and so forth, and showing us all this content by popularity is what has been viewed the most. I can change the minimum result count to 0, and change it to ascending to see which content has not been viewed in my portal for any given date range. And here I can see all the content that has not been viewed. And of course now is the key here, take actions. Is there content that I can delete because it's not in use anymore? Is there content that's not being used because it's not accessible and I should surface that content? So really some great metrics here that allow me to take actions to improve my portal. And then also, as opposed to other tools not built for SharePoint, which only know the URL of your content, we know both the URL and the content type within SharePoint. So of course, if I want to see only sites that have not been viewed or only documents that have not been viewed, or let's take web pages that have been viewed the most, we can save that. And here we can see a list of only web pages and the number of times they've been viewed. Now with all these lists, I can drill down on items. So if I have the download page, I see it was viewed 279 times. I might want more details about this specific page. I'll just click on it to get an instant dashboard. And while that's loading, we'll do the same thing for users here. So here, for example, I can see Molly had 72 page views, but I want to see exactly what she viewed, when she viewed, and access the portal and so forth. So we'll just click on her. And then we'll go back to our download page dashboard. So you can see a dashboard just for the download page, see how many pages it had, where folks came from, and so forth. And again, you can completely customize what this drill down dashboard will look like. Let's go to Molly. And here you can see a dashboard for Molly. We can see here where she's from geographically. We can see what pages she viewed during each visit to our site. Let me show you another example for a drill down dashboard for Molly. These are just two examples for dashboards that we can have for users. You can, of course, create your own dashboards for your users. So here we can see over the course of the past few days when Molly accessed the portal, her visits, how many visits she made each day. We can see exactly which content she viewed. So I can see she viewed the download page 4 times and so forth. So you can drill down both on content or on users within CardioLog. Now that we've added different metrics to our dashboard and customized each widget to show us the content we want, we can also fully define the preferences to this dashboard. And the preferences are here at the top. The first preference is the date range. And I can select a predefined date range like this month, last week, this quarter, and so forth, or customize and take 2 dates. Let's take the past 20 days for this example. Next, I can define which area of the portal we want to report on. And the idea here is that I can create a dashboard for all my farms, if I want to create a dashboard for an admin of all those farms, or I can create a dashboard for each individual site and then have that distributed to our site owners. Or I can take a few sites. Let's, for example, I'll add the X-Tech site, press release site, the Internet portal. So here at the bottom, you can see that we have a few sites that we're going to include in our dashboard. Let's go ahead and add just the X-Tech site. In this case, I want to create a dashboard just for the X-Tech owners. I'll hit OK. The next filter here is users and groups. Here we can connect to Active Directory SharePoint profiles and actually any other human resource database that you're using. In this case, let's add, for example, the administrators and domain admins. So I'll be showing data only for users in those 2 groups. I can also exclude users. So in the scenario now, I'll be showing data for all users in my environment, except for those in my administrators AD group. The last preference here is for visitor segments. Here I can define additional segments beyond what I have in AD. And we can also filter by different attributes. So I can actually import attributes from AD and SharePoint profile. So if you have things like job title, region, department, company name, and so forth, we can import all that here and just filter by specific region, department, and so forth. Let's hit Go to see the past 20 days of data for the X-Tech site. All right, there we go. And I will hit Generate Report to transfer a report from edit mode to a generated mode. All right, so here's the dashboard that we just created quickly together. Of course, you can see here it's for the X-Tech site. If I'd added additional sites, they would appear here at the top as well. And now there are a few great ways that we can actually share our dashboards with our colleagues. First of all, we can export to PDF or to CSV to Excel to actually see the raw data there. We can send this right now to a colleague or create a distribution list. So again, this dashboard is for the X-Tech site. If there are, let's say, 7 different owners or administrators to the site, we can just add their 7 email addresses right here. And then once a day, once a week, or once a month, as often as we specify, the dashboard will be automatically regenerated by CardioLog and automatically sent or distributed to those users via email. And because this tool is built for SharePoint, we can also create a web part out of any metric or dashboard that we're seeing here. So we can actually, that'll create a DWP file for us. We can import that DWP file right into our SharePoint pages and actually view these metrics right on that page. And that web part also is constantly refreshed with data. So every day when I browse to the page with the web part, I'll see an updated chart, meter, or table. Now, of course, once you have this dashboard distributed to the X-Tech owners, some folks from your other sites might get a little jealous as they also want metrics for their sites. And we can do simply duplicate these dashboards very easily. I'll just click on copy here. Let's call this March webinar number 2. We'll just define their site, farm, subsite, whatever it is they want to get metrics for. Let's say they want the press releases subsite. Let's select that. And we'll keep this in the same folder. And as you can see, when I click on this dashboard, it'll show us the same exact dashboard we just created together. All right, there we go. And at the top, you can see it's already pointing at the press releases subsite. So I'll just hit Generate Report. And then all I need to do is add the owners of the press releases site to my distribution list, or create a web part. Now, regarding permissions, I saw there's a question about permissions. You can define permissions for each dashboard here. So here I can define permissions. And then what will happen if I'm a user who enters the tool, and I only have permission for a single dashboard here, let's say this March webinar report, I'll only see that here in the list of these dashboards. It's only one that I'll see. Now what I can define here, not in properties, but rather in permissions, I can define that everyone can view this dashboard. So if I'm creating a web part out of this, and the web part appears within a page, and everyone has permissions to view it, then simply everyone who has access to that page will be able to view that web part. So I'll be the only one who can modify it, edit, remove it, and so forth. But since everyone can view it, then in that web part, everyone will be able to view the metrics in that web part. So you can definitely also provide or define roles and permissions for the tool. All right, so that was the first area of the tool that I wanted to share with you today, how we can create dashboards and actually add the individual specific metrics we want, whether it's about content or users, search, and so forth. We can very, very easily and quickly create our own dashboards for the areas of the portal that we're interested in or responsible for. The next area that I want to share with you today is engagement. So besides just collecting data, how can we be proactive and actually engage with our end users? And to do so, we'll start out here on our SharePoint 2010 demo site. And here on the XTech site, as I scroll up and down, at the bottom right you can see a pop-up survey. If I browse to a different page, we'll see a different survey there. All right, and here on the About Us page, we can see a second survey. And of course, as I scroll up and down, you can get an idea of how that survey looks. Here we're asking 3 different questions. Let's go back into CardioLog to share a little more about how this works. So this voice of customer tool was built based on feedback we got from our customers who said that web analytics is great, provides a lot of good insights as to how the portal is being used. But we want to go one step beyond that and provide the ability for our customers to actually ask the questions they want answered from their users. So for example, so here in this example, we're asking 3 different questions. One of the questions is, were you able to find the content you're looking for? And as you can see, that's a multiple choice question, yes or no. And we can also ask them to give feedback with open text-based comments as well. We can also have different things happen in the survey based on what the user is answering. So here, for example, in our second question, we're asking, were you able to find the content you're looking for? If I select yes, that's great. We're happy to hear you're able to find the content you're looking for. But if I select no, we can actually prompt additional questions, in this case, a text box, to have the user include additional information about what they were not able to find. Let's create a new survey together just to show you how easy it is to use. Let's give our survey a name. We'll call this March Webinar Survey. Next, we'll define which page or pages we want the survey to appear on. And now, because this tool is built for SharePoint, we can define that we want this to appear only on this URL, on the home page of my site, or on all subpages. So this can appear on all pages that appear within this site collection. Next, we'll define the behavior of our survey. The first thing we'll define in behavior is who the survey will appear for. Now we can define that it'll appear for everyone or anyone that views that page, or we can define that the survey will appear for only a specific group of users. And again, we can connect to Active Directory and SharePoint profiles, so I can define a specific AD group or specific attribute of users. So in this example, we can take two surveys, have them appear on the same home page, but one survey will appear only for folks from our marketing team, and the other survey will appear only for folks from our sales team. So if we want to really ask questions that are relevant for each of these different groups of users, we can do so as well. Then we can define when the survey will appear. So it will appear for everyone, will appear for users who didn't answer the survey, will appear even if someone answered the survey already, and so forth. And will appear automatically when they enter the page, will appear only after they start scrolling down the page, and so forth. We can also modify what the submit button looks like. Let's click here. And of course, the survey can appear as opened or as closed, and the user will have to open it when they get to that page. Next is the appearance of the survey. In appearance, we can define the color scheme. So you can define one of the many different themes that we offer, and you can also define the position. So we're going to use bottom right, but of course you can define this to be from the top, the center of the page, and so forth. And then we get to the questions. So we can ask as many questions as we want. So the first question will be, how are you today? We can add a description to this question, and then also define if it's going to be open text-based answer, multiple choice, or single answer. Let's say single answer. All right, good. Okay, and not so good. Well, another question. Well, let's if folks enjoy the company trip. And here again, we can write our answers. Okay, so as you can see, it's very, very easy for me to add the different questions that I want. Let's add one more here. And we'll keep this as a open text-based answer. And of course, we can change the order of the questions here with up and down on the right-hand side, and also remove a question. So very easy to add as many questions as I want, define where they'll appear and who they'll appear for, and then finally we can define what will happen after we submit the survey. So the default is thank you. Let's add thank you very much. We can define how long the thank you message will appear for. And besides just showing a thank you message, we have several other options. The second option is to show the survey results. So we can show what other folks answered for the survey. We can redirect users to a different page. So if we're asking a question like, we're able to find the content you're looking for. If they hit no, we can redirect them to our search page or to our support page to really try and get them some help with the content that we weren't able to find. We can also redirect to another survey. So if you have many questions that might not appear in a single survey, you can create 3 surveys, each one with 3 questions, and have them appear one after another. And finally, we can have a conditional answer. So here, for each response, we can have a different condition happen. So here, if I select good for my first question, we can have a thank you appear. If I hit OK, we can have a different message appear or redirect to a different page, and so forth. And same things for the other answers. So again, for each answer that the user submits, we can have a different action happen for that survey. Let's go ahead and save that for now. Let's just preview. All right, so here's the survey we just created. Our survey button says click here as we defined. Let's add good very much and no. We'll click here, and that's how we're able to answer the survey. Let me go ahead and show you also what the survey answers look like. All right, and here we can see an example for the survey answers. We can see how many folks viewed the survey, how many people responded. In this case, 9 people responded. 5 said yes, 4 said no. And of course, because this survey can appear on multiple pages, we can filter it by a specific page. So if this appears on 10 pages, we can click one of those 10 pages to see what the answers were on that page. So if we're asking a question like, were you able to find the content you're looking for, we can see that on page A, most people say yes, and then we're good to go with that page. But if we find another page where most users said no, we can spend some more time on that page, seeing how we can optimize it, improve it, and we make sure that we can make the content easier to find on that page. All right, so that was a quick introduction to how we can provide or gain additional metrics and insights about our portal, and of course how we can also engage with our users with the help of the Voice of Customer tool. I'd like to take some time now to get to some of the questions that I see in the question box. Of course, if you have any additional questions, feel free to answer them now. And if there are any more questions over the next few days, then of course you can email us at the emails here. All right, let's take a look. So the first question was regarding downloading the webinar and the slide deck. And of course, we'll be sending out an email to everyone following this webinar. I think by tomorrow it should be ready. We'll send you a link to the slide deck as well as the recording, so you'll have that. Second question is regarding default templates. So if you recall during the webinar, we showed how we can click on any user or any content to get an instant dashboard. And yes, those were some default templates. But the key here is that you can create as many templates as you want. So you can modify the out-of-the-box templates or create your own templates that will appear for your users to select from. That's about templates. All right, the next question. Is it possible to view actual names of users who have visited a page during a specific time? And this is for a SharePoint site. Okay, so we're talking about anonymous users. Then what we'll do is we'll actually track them while they're anonymous, so through their IP address and by dropping a cookie on their browser. And if they take some action to authenticate themselves, that can be signing into your site if you have a sign-in page. But even if not, if you have a form on the site to sign up for a webinar like this one, or download a white paper, or purchase a product, then when they fill out their name and email address, or whatever they fill out on the form, maybe just their name, we'll then be able to display all that information in the dashboards as well. So we'll take all that anonymous data from the past few visits to the now authenticated user. So we can track them both while they're anonymous, and then also once they authenticate themselves. All right, next question is about permissions. I know I did talk a little bit about that during the webinar, but Michael, let me know if that answers your question, if I'm going to go into more details about permissions. Okay, next question here is about licensing. So the way we license the product is by servers and not by users. So if you have, let's say, 100 sites and you want to build a dashboard for each site, and each site you want to send out an email to 5 different users for each site, you have a total of 500 users, you don't have to actually buy a license for each one of those users who's going to consume the data, but rather purchase enough licenses for your servers. And so what I'll do is send you a link after this webinar to our licensing page. You can see different editions, the costs, and so forth. And of course, I'd be happy to talk about licensing with you, more details for your environment after the webinar. All right, a follow-up question about permissions. So best practices are to manage permissions on the CardioLog server in addition to SharePoint permissions in the SharePoint environment. Sure. So we do recommend to define permissions within CardioLog, and the main question we should have for customers is, how do you want to manage the dashboards? Do you want most of your users to access the reports through the CardioLog user interface like I showed, or do you want most users to get the reports in their inbox or in web parts? So those are the two main ways that your users can consume the metrics. And so it would really depend on that. But we do recommend that if you grant everyone access to the tool, you define permissions within CardioLog, and then usually we'll have view for everyone, and you can easily distribute it via email or web part. Next question, what is the process for deploying the web parts created from the dashboards? Great. So when you create a web part, it'll actually create a DWP file on your desktop, and then you can simply import that DWP file into your web part library. So it's really a very simple process of creating the web part and importing it into any one of your SharePoint pages. Next question is, can you show broken links report? So absolutely, we do have a report that shows broken links. And then we go ahead, Jayesh, and just answer a few more questions here. And then I'll jump back into the demo environment and show you that metric as well. Let's see, next question. Okay, next question, a little more details about licensing is being asked for here. So I said that we license the product by server, and the question here is licensing only against web frontend or every server in SharePoint, in the SharePoint farm? So we only require license for every web frontend server, so we don't really care how many app server, index servers you have, but rather only the number of web frontends. So of course that also to clarify. And also in this case, Dan, I'll go ahead and after the webinar send you a short note with a link to our licensing page where you can get more details and of course be happy to talk about your specific case. So I think that's all the questions we have for now. I'll of course go into more details about the broken links dashboard as that was requested. Let me jump back into the demo environment. And of course, while I do that, if there are any more questions, feel free to send them over, and we'll get back to questions in just a few moments. So here we have an SEO tool, which is originally built for marketers to optimize their SEO, but we found that many of our intranet customers are taking advantage of this tool because it does provide metrics like broken links, like slow pages, like content not found. And so here, for example, we can see pages with broken links. We can drill down onto these individual pages, similar to what you saw, drill down onto users or content to see what links are broken within the individual page. And then here we can also see things like slow pages, if you want to know what pages are loading a little slower within your environment, and so forth. So that's our broken links metric. You see there are one or two more questions that were asked in the past few minutes. Let's take a look. Yes, Dan. So a link will be provided for the recording of the webinar, and in your email send some information about licensing. Perfect. So I see that's all the questions we have at this time. I'll go ahead and stay online for a few more minutes in case there are any follow-up questions. But again, if you have any more questions later this afternoon, tomorrow, or next few days, you can email us at the email here. And of course, if you want to schedule a personal demonstration for your team, just email us at info@intlog.com, and we'll be more than happy to set up half an hour or an hour for your team to really go over your requirements, your pain points, and also have a Q&A for folks on your team. But for the time being, I'll thank everyone for taking the time to join us today.